Have you already heard about the sensational series Daredevil, Born Again? Then let me quickly tell you what happened in the first 2 episodes. Our main character, Matt Murdock, a blind lawyer, leaves a place with his friends Karen and Foggy, discussing along the way that their old friend Cherry left his post as a police officer, along with 40% of his colleagues over the past year. But Matt is sure that the city has other ways to protect itself. They continue their weekend at a local pub, where Matt overhears Foggy talking to a girl about how funny he's planning to name his company. But when his friend receives a phone call, Matt's already sharp hearing becomes even more heightened. Matt overhears that a killer has come for his friend. The assassin picks the lock with a pin and uses that same pin to knock a fly off the lamp, after which only desperate pleas for help are heard on the phone. Matt immediately rushes to help, and when he finds himself on the rooftop in his costume, he hears Foggy's conversation and realizes that his friend has revealed his own location to the villain. The shot happened almost instantly, hitting Foggy right in the heart. Matt only managed to save Karen and start a fight in the bar, which was fought on the last breath due to numerous injuries on both sides. Karen tried to keep Foggy conscious, but death still took him. When Matt heard this, he furiously threw the villain off the rooftop, never finding out why he did it. Meanwhile, Cherry learns that Matt is the infamous Daredevil. More than a year has passed since those events, but Matt still carries memories of Foggy with him. Meanwhile, the heads of 5 criminal families in the city gather in one place to discuss paying tribute to the most powerful family, Fisk's, which is temporarily led by Vanessa. When her husband Wilson silently appears in the room, everyone stands up and leaves to give them privacy. The man expresses immense gratitude and love to his wife for being able to replace him while he spent time in a hospital bed. But now he has gained 25,000 electoral votes, meaning it's time for him to put an end to any criminal activity. Matt arrives at work, where Christine greets him with a cup of coffee and asks him to deliver a powerful and impressive speech the next day, one that will influence everyone. And this speech turns out to be about condemning the very man who killed his friend a year ago. Unexpectedly, Karen walks into the courtroom and manages to hear only half of his words. Afterward, the judge sentences the criminal to life imprisonment for each murder, with no chance of parole. When old friends leave the courtroom, we learn that after Foggy's death, Matt distanced himself from everyone for a whole year, leaving Karen alone, even though she shared the same grief as he did. Their conversation failed to end with plans to meet again, as Karen was deeply hurt. She returned Matt's Daredevil mask accessory, which he hadn't worn since that tragic moment, believing that no one would be worse off without it. When he returns home and starts preparing dinner, he hears Wilson Fisk's speech on TV, where Fisk unexpectedly announces his candidacy for mayor of New York. The man instantly became popular online. Millions of comments, hundreds of bloggers discussing the situation, and the news flooded with memes saying, "Fisk will fix it." At least, that's how one of his team members put it. Kristen reminds Matt about his meeting with Dr. Heather, and on the way, he overhears conversations about Fisk's mayoral run at every corner of the city. He finally meets Heather at a cafe, where they realize that Kristen set up their meeting under the pretext that the girl needed a lawyer and the man needed a psychologist. At first, they found Kristen's joke not very funny, but they still decided to have a pleasant chat and get to know each other. When Matt returns to the office, he asks Kristen not to repeat such jokes, but she immediately catches on, guessing that they've already planned another meeting and that the first one went great. Still, Matt asks for Heather's number to apologize. By the way, Cherry was already waiting for Matt in his office. The man expressed his frustration over Fisk's insane run for mayor, and Matt agreed. But according to Cherry, Fisk's income is completely clean, not a single dollar to trace back to criminal activity. Meanwhile, his wife presents herself as a financial fairy. So, Matt decides to ask Fisk directly. The two men sit down at a diner and start recalling how Fisk once tried to kill Matt, and Matt once tried to put Fisk behind bars. Fisk claims he's changed, but Matt warns him that if he breaks the law, the vigilante will come for him, and this time, there will be no mercy. Fisk, however, stares fear in the face and declares that if he becomes mayor, no clowns in strange costumes will roam his city, believing they can dispense justice with no consequences. With that, they part ways, and Matt heads to his date with Heather. There, he hears a TV broadcast from the bar, announcing Fisk's victory with a commanding 55% of the vote. The new mayor celebrated his win, but Vanessa made him promise not to kill Matt, since Fisk is now a changed man. By the way, our Daredevil ends up kissing Heather, proving that Kristen was right all along. Fisk begins his first live speeches as mayor, while elsewhere in the city, an unknown figure steps in to defend a defenseless young man. But when he accidentally takes down one of the thugs, the other reveals a badge. He's a police officer. Sheila, Fisk's secretary, arranges welcoming meetings for the new mayor with leaders from all government sectors to prevent any political obstacles. She also advises him to appear in public with his wife, Vanessa, to gain support from more conservative circles rather than just the younger population. However, Fisk asks her to buy him some time, as he's not ready for that step yet. Meanwhile, Matt finds himself at the police station. While working with one of his clients, he overhears someone being beaten in the next room. He rushes over, only to find the young man alone. The man explains the real story. He's being forced to confess to murdering a police officer. After listening to his heartbeat, Matt senses the man is hiding something but still decides to help him for free. Back at the office, Matt announces his plan to defend this young man, aiming to promote his law firm through this high-profile case. His team reluctantly agrees, even though it may seem like Matt is taking a stand against the NYPD. Meanwhile, Fisk gets stuck in traffic due to a pothole on the bridge. He immediately instructs the foreman to start repairs, seizing the opportunity to influence public opinion and boost his support. Matt then asks Cherry to meet with the accused man's wife and track down the person Matt had previously saved to gather witnesses. Matt avoids giving reporters any information, but in court, the NYPD is represented by lawyer Hodberg. After just a few words from Hodberg, the judge appears ready to rule against Matt's client before even hearing his side of the story. But Matt has no intention of giving up so easily. At the same time, popular reporter Bibi meets with the new mayor and urges him to address issues within the police force. The police commissioner is considering resigning because of the new mayor, and if rank-and-file officers follow his lead, Fisk risks losing control of the city. The resignation rate in the police force has reached alarming levels. Bibi also questions Fisk about his wife, but Fisk refuses to answer and asks her to leave. Afterward, he notes that Bibi feels underestimated, and he plans to use that to his advantage. Fisk heads to the police officer's funeral, where he predictably encounters the commissioner, who greets the new mayor with hostility. His goal is to remove Fisk from the mayor's office in less than a month, knowing Fisk's vile nature and his past involvement in building a criminal empire. Meanwhile, Heather was signing autographs for fans when one of them requested an appointment. At the same time, Christine and Cherry visited the accused man's wife. While Christine distracted her, Cherry found a box with a costume in the bedroom and immediately informed Matt about it. The lawyer realized that the man was actually White Tiger, someone he had crossed paths with many times before. Now, however, Hector was willing to cooperate to regain his freedom. Matt rushed to the judge to demand a retrial despite Hector's identity as White Tiger, and the judge agreed. Meanwhile, when the commissioner came to submit his resignation, Fisk threatened to reveal that the commissioner had a son hidden in Philadelphia. Faced with this, the commissioner was forced to stay in his position, with no bonuses for employees, no overtime pay, and all this until the police academy could expand. Cherry, unfortunately, failed to find the man Hector had saved. So Matt decided to follow the deceased officer's partner. The officer went home, but soon after, Heather called Matt to postpone their date since new clients had arrived unexpectedly. In the Fisk family, divorce seemed imminent because Vanessa had taken charge of the family business while Fisk was recovering from an attack by a vigilante. During his recovery, Fisk had kept his distance from Vanessa to protect her from potential threats. Matt waited outside the officer's home until evening when he overheard the man loading his gun and arranging a secret meeting at an unknown address. Matt quickly called Cherry and asked him to head to Fortrain Park. The lawyer managed to arrive ahead of the police at the apartment of the man Hector had saved. He urged the man to escape through the fire escape. When the police entered the apartment, they brutally beat Matt. He endured it, but when they attempted to shoot him, he had no choice but to fight back and take them down. That's the end of episodes 1 and 2. If you want more recaps, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next recap.